Venus does not kill you the way a mountain kills you, or the way the ocean kills you. It does something quieter, something cleaner. It erases you. Some places don't kill you. They erase you. And the terrifying part is that you can feel the erasure happening while you are still alive. Tonight, you are going down through the brightest clouds in the solar system and into the most hostile ground any rock in our neighborhood can offer. You will hear what happens when pressure turns air into something that stops behaving like air, when heat turns metal into a time limit, when chemistry turns every surface into a test. You will learn why probes do not simply fail on Venus, they get overwritten. And when the last signal breaks apart into noise, you will understand what the title really means. Venus doesn't kill you, it erases you. You start in orbit, with a clean horizon and a planet that looks harmless. A pale coin wrapped in cream-colored clouds. No continents, no familiar edges, just brightness and smoothness like a polished mask. Your capsule is built for one job, to keep your instruments thinking a little longer than they have any right to. Cameras sealed, radios insulated, computers wrapped in layers that look like paranoia. Outside, Venus is already working. At the top of the cloud deck, sunlight scatters into a uniform glare. It should feel like safety. It feels like anesthesia. You lose the stars first, not because they are gone, but because the sky refuses to show them. Then you lose the sense of motion. The atmosphere is so deep that falling becomes drifting. You are surrounded by gas, but it has weight, it has texture. And you still have a strong signal, for now. Your voice, your numbers, your heartbeat of data, all climbing upward through the antenna like a promise. You tell yourself that as long as someone can hear you, you still exist.
Around 50 kilometers above the surface, something uncanny happens. Your external sensors report temperatures that sound almost reasonable. The pressure is close to home, too. It is the only altitude on Venus that ever tempts people into speaking the word habitable. That temptation is part of the trap, because this layer is not a refuge, it is a corridor. Above you, the clouds are acid. Below you, the world is pressure-cooked. And all around you, the atmosphere is moving in a way that should not be possible. Venus rotates so slowly that day is a strange concept here, but the air does not wait for the planet. Near the cloud tops, the winds can run over 100 meters per second, fast enough to carry weather around the entire planet in a few days. You can hear it in the microphone as a constant force, not a gust, but an insistence, like a hand pushing you sideways while you fall. Then the light changes. Venus does not have blue sky. It has filtered daylight, bruised into yellow and gray, bright enough to cast shadows, dim enough to feel like a room. Your instruments begin to report what the human body cannot imagine. Carbon dioxide, almost all of it. Nitrogen, a small remainder. Traces that matter more than their percentages. Sulfur compounds that corrode and stain. Droplets of sulfuric acid suspended in the air like a weather system made of battery fluid. You are not breathing it, but the capsule is still tasting it. Every seal is being tested. And the first erasure is subtle. Your star tracker is blind. Your sun sensor is confused. The sky offers no edges, no reference points. The world becomes a gradient. You still have radar, you still have math, but Venus has a different relationship with certainty. It lets you compute your position while it hides the meaning of where you are. At 30 kilometers, your descent rate changes as the atmosphere thickens beneath you like a pillow that is also a vice.
Your capsule starts to warm, not as a burst, but as a continuous gain that never stops. Cooling systems work harder, power draw rises, your margins shrink. The radio link begins to sound different even before it degrades. The signal has to climb through layers of gas that scatter and absorb. When you transmit, you can almost picture the words leaving the antenna and being sanded down syllable by syllable. At 20 kilometers, you hear the first error correction alarms in your data stream. Not dramatic, just an increase in the number of times your own message has to be rebuilt. You are still talking, someone is still listening, but your voice is already arriving as a guess.
At 10 kilometers, the world tightens. Pressure climbs toward numbers that belong at the bottom of an ocean. Temperature climbs toward values that belong in an industrial furnace. And in this range, the atmosphere stops feeling like air entirely. It behaves like something dense enough to push back, something that can creep into scenes, something that can carry heat into you no matter how well you hide. The radar finally paints the surface with a clarity that feels like relief until you understand what you are seeing. Basalt plains, wrinkled ridges, a landscape that looks like it has been poured, folded, and baked again. Your descent slows. Parachutes are useless here in the way you wish they would not be. Systems that work on Mars become jokes on Venus. The capsule relies on brute design and timed sequences as if you can schedule survival. 5 kilometers. Your outer skin is now hot enough that you can feel the warmth bleeding inward as inevitability. Your electronics begin to drift, not failure yet, but small shifts, timing changes, clocks that no longer agree. This is what erasure looks like in silicon. A 1 becoming a 0, not because someone flipped it, but because the environment convinces it to forget. 2 kilometers. The atmosphere outside is a pressure cooker full of carbon dioxide, and the temperature is high enough to melt lead. You have known that as a fact since training, but facts are different when they become the air around you. Touchdown. The capsule hits and steadies. For a second, everything is quiet in the data, as if the planet is waiting. Then the temperature inside the housing rises another step, and the countdown begins. You transmit the first surface packet: pressure, temperature, composition. You try to send more, a fuller record, a proof that you made it, but the planet is already editing you. The audio channel fills with a low hiss, not from a storm, but from thermal noise, from circuits vibrating too fast. Your clock starts to skip. Your memory buffer corrupts a single block, then another. Your error correction holds, then strains, then holds again. You are not dying. You are losing fidelity. And then comes the moment that makes Venus different from every other place. The last transmission is not a scream. It is a clean sentence that arrives incomplete, with the middle missing, like a tape magnetized over itself. You realize something as the signal fins. If the record of you is what makes you real to the people above the clouds, then being erased is not metaphor. It is logistics.
Hours later, when the replay runs in the lab, the engineers do what humans always do. They try to reconstruct. They patch the missing bits. They align the timestamps. They smooth the noise until it looks like a line. They turn the end of you into a data set. But Venus resists that kind of comfort. Even when you rebuild the last packets, the story is still the same. The surface is so extreme that survival is measured in minutes, sometimes in less than 2 hours, not because engineers are careless, but because physics is stubborn. Venus is not an enemy you fight. It is an environment that makes your definition of durable meaningless. And the erasure does not stop at the hardware. It erases your intuition. It erases the lazy idea that near Earth means near familiar.
It erases the assumption that a rocky planet is a place you can stand if you just bring enough gear. That is why the next generation of missions is designed to look at Venus differently, from orbit with radar that sees through the clouds, with probes that drop once, quickly, to taste the air on the way down. Because on Venus, you do not win by staying, you win by collecting what you can before the planet edits the rest. And in the quiet after the mission, when the team finally turns off the speakers, there is a lingering fear that has nothing to do with acid or heat. It is the fear of how clean the erasure was, how quickly the record became holes, how easy it would be for the universe to do the same thing to anything else that depends on fragile signals to be real.
So, when you look at Venus from Earth, bright and steady in the twilight, remember what that brightness hides. A sky that turns edges into gradients, a chemistry that punishes contact, a pressure that makes air heavy enough to carry heat like a weapon, a surface that does not need violence to end you, only time. Because Venus doesn't kill you, it erases you. Science you can hear, dread you can feel. If you want the next tape, subscribe. The archive keeps growing, and there are more places out there where reality feels thin. So, tell me, honestly, if you heard it, would you answer?